Hello, 3 p.m. BST. We have people here from all over the world, and I bet Lucy has literally visited every single one of these countries.
True story, right?
Maybe not.
Is it your job, Lucy, is to spot one you haven't yet been to?
Something like that. Yes.
I saw Cyprus on there.
Oh yes, no, I haven't been to Cyprus.
Ah,
I keep nearly getting to Cyprus and not quite, but Kathleen has been, our editor.
And where have you both just landed from, Lucy? How are you landing today? Bonnie, how are you landing today? What's been going on for you before this particular session?
I know for me, I've been busy packing up until a few minutes ago. Tomorrow heading to Houston to speak, and then next Friday in New York City, and then the following Friday in Washington, D.C. So it's a busy time, and there's a lot of activity, which we're all going to talk about today.
Amazing. And you're looking particularly glamorous today, Bonnie, I have to say. Particularly.
Well, that's very sweet of you. You know what's very funny, Lucy C? I switched clothes and I was totally wearing your color today. So I'm glad I did an instinct. It said shade. We never, and by the way, to everybody listening, we never talk about what we're wearing. Never.
We never get to talk beforehand because we're all so busy. And Lucy B, what's your day looked like before landing here?
My goodness. So yes, I have just got back. I was in the States. I did 4 cities in the States, and then I went to Brazil to FISEC, which is the biggest conference for assistants in South America. And then I went from there to Marbella, where I was training all the assistants at Ralph Lauren. And yes, very exciting. And I celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary in Marbella, and we've just landed back in Spain. But we're here now until next weekend. I'm off to Belgium because it's IMA's big conference next weekend. So I'm quite pleased to have a few days just to stop and be at home. I haven't been at home for ages.
I think we're all feeling relieved for you, really, listening to that kind of schedule. How does your body keep up? I know the mind is willing, but sometimes the body is not. Well done. Amazing. And
how about you, Lucy?
Oh, me. Oh, well, I mean,
you've been on fire. I've been watching both of you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've been having I mean, life is full of duality, isn't it? So everyone on this call that's listening to all the exciting stuff, life is always full of duality. But for the fabulous bits, I've been speaking lots and traveling lots. I was over in Bordeaux. I got back on Monday, was straight into a brilliant workshop yesterday with Alvarez and Marcel. In fact, lots of workshops. And today I've been doing one of the things I love the most, which I had 2 amazing hours of mentoring. Incredible, really deeply inspiring. And I'm actually volunteering on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And I haven't done anything like that for ages. And I just realized sometimes when you get away from things that really matter to you, you can feel it in other ways, can't you? And so I'm really excited to be sort of coming out of my world and doing something a bit different. But yeah, I feel very lucky to be doing the work that I've been doing recently. That's for sure. Really deeply grateful. Well, can I introduce you to the 2 queens of the administrative profession? And 2 people that I have to say on a soul level are both deeply beautiful, deeply generous, very kind, and I think have sacrificed a huge amount to show up for the profession the way that they have. And I'm very grateful every time I get to share space with them, I have to say. 2 people that I look up to, admire, and feel so inspired by. And I'd love for you to say hello to Lucy Brazier OBE, who we all know wears many, many hats. Global speaker and trainer extraordinaire, CEO, runs an extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. Would you still call it a magazine, Lucy?
Yes. Well, I mean, we're kind of a magazine. It started with a magazine, but we're a magazine.
It feels bigger than that.
Company, advocacy, all that, consultancy, all sorts of things.
Yes.
But yes, all things administration, I think.
A one-stop wisdom shop, I'm going to call it, for all of your
Writing
needs.
that down.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think Lucy is at the moment at the center of a piece of one of the most important pieces of research we've ever actually had, because there is so much misconception about this profession, and what's coming out in terms of the press is fear fueling and deeply inaccurate. And we will make sure that we put the survey into, if anybody is here and can put the survey link into the chat, it's going to be the most pivotal piece of research that we can then share with and educate all of the leaders of the businesses that we all work within about what matters most for this profession. And we need that piece of work now more than ever. We also have with us Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I got to see Bonnie Low-Kramen speak in London last year, and I actually had my hairs stood on end. Her story was deeply moving, and I think demonstrated for anybody that if Bonnie can, you can too. Having supported an Olympia Dukakis, thank you, Olympia Dukakis, who is was an Oscar-winning actress, and has gone on to utilize that experience as nectar for the industry in terms of inspiring, motivating, but also agitating for change. And Bonnie is deeply committed to having the conversations, the uncomfortable conversations that a lot of us don't want to have, and is not scared. I mean, I have to say, Lucy B also falls into that camp, but is not scared to have to talk about the elephants in the room. Both have written extraordinary books. And again, I'm going to ask anybody here to put both links to the books. They are both in my bookshelves back there, and I learned a huge amount from both of them. So buy them if you haven't. And I'm Lucy. I'm learning from Bonnie and Lucy, but very, very, very passionate about changing people's relationship with their potential, so that you can think, act, and feel infinitely for the better, and take up the space and use the voice in a way that will deliver the success that you so richly deserve. We've got a lot to talk about. We have a few polls, so we can do a little bit of research as well. But I think let's talk about what's on your mind. I would like to know what is on Bonnie and Lucy's mind. And what I also know for sure is we need to know what's on your minds too. So share with us in the chat what matters to you. We've got nearly we have over 300 of you online right now live. Share with us what matters to you. But Bonnie, I'm going to pass that question to you first.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy C. You know, Lucy B and I feel the same way about you. We just love coming together like this. So thank you both for giving of yourselves so generously. I've got a lot on my mind, actually. Last week we did Be the Ultimate Assistant in Phoenix, Arizona, where we had assistants from 7 states. And then a few days later, I was at the University of North Florida speaking with a group of 20-year-olds, young women from the Women in Business Society. And so I'm here to kind of give a report from what I'm hearing and seeing in every single day, which is that the stress level for these young women in their 20s was at a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 about fear about the job market, fear about money. So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of fear, there's an anxiety about this workplace. And I'm here in Florida, talking with people all over the United States, and it feels something like a reality TV show here. And it's a very dramatic day-to-day atmosphere here. And it's difficult. I know that, you know, the news is filled with information about AI, and certainly Vicki Evans was talking about Copilot and ChatGPT, and there's just a lot of intel about those apps and our ability to talk about AI. I see it counterpoint. Today on this call, I want to not lose sight of the human beings alongside all of this technology, that the emotional intelligence, that human-centered skills are still needed, desperately needed in the global workplace. So, you know, there's one of my main messages today is don't believe everything you're reading, that AI is creating a lot of text out there, and assistants need to do what assistants do really well, which is to cull from the chaos what's real, because the assistants of the world are the ones in the facts business. Let's stick with the details. Let's stick with what we actually know versus the noise that's out there. So those are some of the things that are on my mind.
Well, I think they resonate deeply with everybody that's here today, including myself. And of course, when we're in fear, we're not very good at agitating for what we really need and want. So I also think that we all need to remind ourselves that the tech billionaires are fueling the AI noise. And yes, it's deeply important, but of course our bombardment is because of the money behind the advertising for what they want us all to buy in terms of the apps and the tech. And so just remember, there's a big corporate machine behind the AI noise. And so we can pick and choose what's useful to us, but we don't have to get so bogged down with this. There's a lot of us human beings on this planet, 7 billion or so of us, you know, we are at the moment still very much in charge. So yeah. All right, Lucy B, what is on your mind?
Well, first thing I want to say is that it's co-pilot, not autopilot. So really, you know, I think I talk a lot, and you always hear me talking about the fact that the assistant's role is to give the executives back time, and that all translates to money to the bottom line. AI's job is to give the assistant back time. It's the assistant's assistant, so that the assistant can make time for doing more of the things that they've always wanted to do. And to me, I think it's very exciting. I think it's about augmenting your career, not taking it away. I think it may finally turn the assistant role into being something that is not about you being outgoing, but you being part of the infrastructure of the organization, because you shouldn't ever have been defined by all the tasks that you are defined by. You should be doing the things that you've been doing forever and nobody's been seeing that you're doing. So if we can get rid of doing admin and use AI to manage admin, it's going to really help us. But actually, the thing that I'm most excited at the moment, you alluded to it earlier, is the new Global Skills Matrix for 2026 that we're building. The Global Skills Matrix that we published in 2021 was wonderful, and clearly we've had 13,000 companies download it, and it's been hugely useful for businesses for creating career frameworks within organizations, and for assistants to understand for the first time how to move by upskilling themselves up the levels. However, the AI wasn't invented until 2022 on the commercial market, and so it missed that piece totally. So the new matrix, which we are revising, has got stuff in there about AI and how you're using it. It's got digital first, it's got hybrid working, but also I think we've talked before about this chief of staff stuff, and really the level 5, what we're seeing already is coming out. The natural progression for an assistant is coming out as a director of administration and a head of business support, and that is where this is all heading. We want the data. We've now got 1,600 responses, which is huge. I want to get it to at least 3,000. We'll ideally more than that. And the more countries from all over the world that take it, the better picture that we've got as to what's going on. But we've got World Administrators Summit coming up in Berlin in October next year. So it's really important it is all done by then. And there is another initiative that we will be launching in March next year in the run up to that, which I think you'll all find really exciting, which is an administrative profession hackathon, which will be global. And we have got 3 different questions that we will be asking the audience. You choose one, you answer it as a team. You can all get teams together. You can answer one of those questions, and the best ones will be flown to Berlin in order to present at World Administrators Summit. So the idea is it's a day of people brainstorming and sharing ideas and coming up with strategies for the profession so that we can end up with 3 amazing white papers on the future of the profession with all your ideas, not just the leaders' ideas, because I feel like the leaders will have amazing ideas, but I want to hear from the grassroots, and that all feeds into World Administrators Summit, which hopefully gives us a blueprint for how we drive this forward. So that's what's on my mind at the moment, and it's a lot of work, but it's amazing.
Well, if anyone can, you can, but actually a rising tide lifts all ships. So we have a responsibility on the call to support that work. And I think you just gave a call to action there, Lucy, which is about the global I've now got
Skills
one
matrix.
of my menopausal
Global
mind
skills
blanks.
matrix.
Thank you, Global Skills Matrix. Wow. Which is the new survey, which we need your support with. So 1,600 responses is extraordinary. We need more than that. You can all take it back to your organizations. You can all share it on your Instagram, but more importantly, you can all share it on LinkedIn. After today's session, let's see if we can get that to 3,000. It's incredible the difference that we can make when we come together. Incredible. And before I pass my first question over, what's on my mind is that you feel powerful, not powerless. And so many of the conversations I'm having resonate with what Bonnie touched on. I'm hearing a lot of powerlessness, a lot of a sense of a lack of agency. And I have, over the last, it's about 7 months now, but I've had 100 meetings with clients of mine, and I've had 100 meetings with senior administrative professionals. And together from that, I've created a 3-step or 3 key areas that I would love to share with you today that might help give you a clear roadmap to how to regain your sense of power and agency and voice so that you can make yourself future fit and feel agile and mobile and energized to share things like the survey that we needed to complete. Know that you have a voice, you can make a difference. So that's a good starting point. We haven't had any questions yet, so we would love some. Please put them in the chat. This is your moment to pick 2 of the wisest people I know's brains, and it doesn't happen very often. So should we launch that first poll, which you shared, Bonnie? We've got a couple of polls today. Are you in the office 5 days a week? Have you returned to the office 5 days a week? So I'm going to launch that now. Has that worked? So this was one of Bonnie's burning questions. We've got a couple of sort of keystone questions. What is going on with our working world, which of course generally punishes women, I'm afraid to say. And I can't imagine why that's happening when you look at who's in charge. But anyway, here we are, not wanting to get too political, of course. Bonnie, what are your thoughts seeing what's coming up?
Yeah, I'm seeing this. There's a lot of hybrid going on. One of the things that's driving the question, it's important that everyone on the call see the results, that people are continuing to work hybrid, because the news is filled with companies that are really cracking down on, we're back in the office 5 days. Well, in Phoenix, we had a couple of assistants who were at companies where the official front channel rule is back in the office 5 days, but the reality, the back channel information that all assistants need to know is it's still negotiable. That, company, Jane Fraser is the CEO of Citigroup, and so a big financial company, and she is committed to flexibility for the staff, especially working parents, because as we can see in the chat, flexibility is one of the most important things that assistants are saying that they need, and your answers are validating that that's happening. That's what I see in the chat. What do you all think? And look at that. Look at the results, 65%. Are those results revealed to the
Yes, everyone should be able to see them. I've shared them. Yeah, so everyone should be able to see those.
Look at that.
At the moment.
At that. So, flexibility is still, and hybrid are there for the win. I don't think it's going away. I don't know do you have a different opinion, or are you?
Well, I can share my insight, but Lucy, where are you at with this?
just think we had a major opportunity to revamp the way that we did business. You know, 9 to 5 is based on Henry Ford's factories and people going into work who needed to work together to assemble cars. That was over 100 years ago. So we could do with a revamp. And really, you're absolutely correct that it discriminates against women, I think. And for me, certainly, you know, I've said this before very publicly, I really didn't spend an awful lot of time with my children when they were little, because I was the generation where you worked twice as hard as a woman to prove you were as good as the man. And if I had been able to have hybrid working, I might actually have seen something of them. And so I'm very passionate about the fact that I think that hybrid working is something that really needs to be there. And you know, I think we should have workplaces where there is choice as to how you work. More and more, it's about goal setting and hitting goals, as opposed to having your bottom in a seat for that whole full day. You know, I get it that we're paid for a certain number of hours, but do we need to do those hours between 9 and 5? Or as long as certain tasks get accomplished within you working hours, whenever they are, could we not look at doing that? It's a huge subject and one that actually makes me quite emotional. So I'm going to hand back to you.
Yeah, I feel I could actually feel that emotion, because I too sacrificed so much of my time with Chloe growing up. And in fact, one of her main memories of me was sometimes reading her story still with my coat on. And that makes me feel desperately sad. And we are bringing up the next generation as women, and everyone wants healthy, happy, productive human beings, and to do that we cannot do that from complete absenteeism. And so there needs to be this balance. But how do we persuade in, for me, what feels like a sea change, a bit of a land grab, reverting to old patterns, old ways of working, because they make certain people feel comfortable, but actually we need to demonstrate that these ways work. And it's how do we continue to make that demonstration, isn't it? And it's how do we reassure organizations that this is the right way? And I have to say that there's something that came up yesterday in a client meeting. I'm going to share it because I think it's really important. They have a lot of flexibility and they're an asset manager. They're fairly large. There's 47 assistants. I'm going to share this as a call to action again. When she gets on a Teams call with her team, and it's not just her, when she gets on a Teams call, she's had partners mention it as well. People don't turn their cameras on. They sit with little black boxes. Well, I need to urge you, if we're going to keep things like, we'll protect hybrid working and demonstrate how much it enhances productivity, we have a responsibility with how we show up and how we protect it, by engaging, by being engaged, by demonstrating that desire to maintain and enhance connection from a remote standpoint. And that's what's so critical for us, I think, in terms of making sure organizations don't continue that narrative. And I don't know what your thoughts are, Bonnie.
Oh my goodness, it's a big topic where cameras should be on, in my view, and it should be a given, because so much is informed by body language and the ability to see someone. It's in part about accountability. So, you know, we've had such changes since the pandemic in this area, but I'd like to add a couple of things. That how we're going to change this, how we're going to change the mindset of leadership, which I think has already shifted, is to speak to it. Is never ever before has it been more necessary for executive assistants to speak, to have their voices heard to their leaders about what way is better. At BTUA, from workshop number 1, I've always had this slide: assistants often know better. And this is about articulating the case for this. You know, these results have been fascinating. And I shared with each of you, Lucy's, an article about, you know, all of these very well-known executives who are now saying, yes, and AI is going to allow us to have eventually, very soon, a 4-day or even a 3-day work week. And that, I don't believe that is ever going to be possible simply because we only have 24 hours in a day. And it certainly won't be possible for assistants and people in administrative work.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to short circuit. It's a side note to an important one where we have to take these headlines, these sensational headlines. Yeah, we're headed towards a 3-day work week or a 4-day work week. We have to take it with a grain of salt and to understand, how is that really going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, you know?
Yeah.
Lucy.
Yeah, I think I can't see a 3 or a 4-day work week coming anytime soon, because that isn't the way business works. Business is about money. And actually, if you think about the technology, we've had typewriters and then word processors and then computers and then internet and then cloud computing, and now we've got AI, and at every stage all it's actually meant for the assistant is that the depth and the breadth of the work that they're doing has increased. It's just changed. I don't think that the assistant role at a more strategic level is going anywhere at all. I think the 3 and 4 day thing is wishful thinking. I think they're just going to find different work for us to do on the whole.
I have to say, from speaking with clients on a daily basis, I think you're right. And I think this leads into neatly another area we wanted to touch on, which was job security. So I touched at the beginning this feeling of powerlessness that I'm noticing a lot, or a feeling of exhaustion. I think it's understandable why there's a general feeling of exhaustion. The world feels quite heavy, but don't lose your optimism in that, because it's actually faith in humanity, each other, and the potential in the future that actually leads to all of the richness in life, and for which there is so much. One of the things that I've been really encouraging the assistants that I've been working with to put together is to build your strategic bio. So build your strategic biography. Get really, really clear on, do you understand your organization's commercial drivers, market position, growth priorities? Are you connecting what you do with the bigger picture? And how are you influencing decisions, or are you simply in that place of responsiveness? So really getting clear, and I've just noted down here, so your core professional identity, what does that look like? The unique value you bring, your tangible results, so where you've improved performance, culture, efficiency, and the narrative of your personal growth. So perhaps from operational excellence through to strategic influence, but really understanding for you what that strategic bio looks like, so you can have whatever the conversation is you need to. If you are feeling insecure, you start to really give yourself the confidence that you'll be okay regardless. Look at this incredible strategic biography I have. Or it can be a call to action around learning. But when you think about the insecurity that so many people on this call will be feeling, Lucy, let me come to you first. What do you think a way to feel that you have an ability to create a pathway through this really tricky economic climate at the moment?
I think it is about upskilling. I think it is about showing up as a core part of the business instead of being reactive. I think, I'm forever being told by assistants, they're not empowering me. I don't feel empowered. Well, you don't get empowered, you empower yourself. And it's amazing how, when you understand that you're a subject matter expert in administration and you show up and behave like you're a core part of the business, how they start to see you slightly differently. I have to say, I agree with you. I do think it's the Wild West out there. I do think that there is an enormous amount of job security which is in question. We just had this whole situation with Grant Thornton in the UK, where they got rid of a load of assistants and then said, well, we're shipping out to India to get them to handle the work. And really, the fact that it was a cost-cutting exercise goes back to the fact that they're seeing assistants as an outgoing as opposed to infrastructure, and they're not understanding what the role is. But that's down to us to teach them what the role is, really. We have to show them what our value is that we can bring to the organizations. So it's a bit of a kind of chicken and egg, really. I think the assistants are I actually got interviewed by the Times and by Times Radio about it. And it was so interesting. They said they had more people calling in that morning than they had on any other section that they
Wow.
did. So it clearly struck a nerve, with the business people that were listening who hadn't really thought it through. And don't get me wrong, I've trained some remote teams in India who are absolutely phenomenal. But you just don't, on the whole, if you've got a group of people who are doing just task-based stuff and being told what to do, clearly get the same kind of service as you do from somebody who's working in partnership and is understanding the organization, understanding the goals, understanding the KPIs, understanding the priorities. It's a totally different job. But we need to be very clear what our roles are. That's why the Global Skills Matrix is so useful.
Yes. Yeah, completely. It is the platform from which we can all stand, isn't it? And where we can engage with clear data leadership, because it is a data-driven piece of work. It's not a theoretical piece of work. And I think that if you ever want to engage leadership, managers, and stakeholders, then you need data-driven pieces of evidence, and that is what this is. Bonnie.
Well, assistants, and I've been saying this for a long time, we need to lead with the facts, which is that business case that what was the word you used for it, Lucy C? The
strategic biography. Your strategic biography.
It's a great phrase to use for what you do. We all need to be ready with that, to the answer to the question, what exactly do you do? If in fact it's true that fear and anxiety and stress is at a high point, it's also high for leaders, and it's also high for HR. I feel like in the aftermath of the pandemic, and then this tsunami called artificial intelligence, leadership of companies are building the plane as they're flying it. And a big group of people who can help bring order to the chaos is the administrative staff. But what's vitally important is that you put your job description in writing and include all of your talents and skills, your strategic biography. How is it that you serve the organization in its current state? I can tell you in the United States right now, every day there are companies that are doing layoffs and downsizing and trying to figure out where they're going to put the resources, the money, where is the money going? So there is a lot of unemployment. There is a lot of outsourcing. And I'm here to say that if anybody on this call, anybody listening to the recording believes that decisions are being made that are poorly thought out, I urge you to put your ideas in writing and present it somehow and say, how is it that you can be part of the solution? Rather than sitting back and letting this happen to us. This is about proactivity. And I know the Lucys share that belief that assistants of the world need to be very proactive in this situation we're in.
And we all know on this call that a fantastic executive assistant is the architecture of organizational success. But nobody's going to give you your voice. Nobody is going to come in like like the fairy tales, a knight in shining armor, wave a magic wand and make it all better. Lucy can't make it all better. Bonnie can't make it all better. We have to own our professional capability, competence, and have the courage to talk with confidence about what we deliver, what we bring, what difference. You need to start thinking about how you're building and measuring your influence. And that's really important. And it is very important to agitate for change on LinkedIn. My concern is that sometimes we spend a lot of time complaining about what's going on in the industry. And I'm not seeing enough of the pride, the demonstration of impact that this industry has on culture, on return on investment, on stakeholder relationship management, on effective change, on productivity, all of which you deeply impact. But we're not talking about that. Where are the case studies? Where is the shouting from the rooftops? And I think we need to be really concerned with what we're putting out there. And yeah, agitating for change for sure. But also we need the balance between both. And I'm not seeing enough of that. I don't know what you two both think about that.
Actually, and I think it's math. I think, they think in math, they think in return on investment. And I am always staggered that these people who call themselves incredible business people, who are supposedly our leaders, don't get this business 101 piece, which says that if the assistant is on a lower salary than the executive and is saving the executive money. Yesterday I put a post on LinkedIn, which if you want to go and see it, you can go and look at how
so good. This year your content has been off the chart. Amazing.
Thank you. I set myself a goal at the beginning of the year to write every day, and so far I've done it. But yesterday I was talking about founders and how their first hire should be an assistant. But I did do the math, and it is applicable to anybody in any business situation. The ROI is about 150% on an executive salary, and that's if they're only earning £100 an hour, so $100 an hour. So go take a look at that, see what you can do. But I think stop talking about the fact that actually what you are is a time management tool. You are somebody that helps them not be so stressed. Do you think about the amount people send on making sure their executives aren't stressed?
Yes,
this whole stuff. I'm sitting there going, how do they not get this? They're meant to be amazing business people. This is like business 101.
I know, that's so true. I have one thing to add. I know the poll is taken down, but hopefully you noticed that it was 50% who said it was business as usual with this stress level. Check it out. The usual or not stress. So 83% of the 341 people on the call right now, I know it's not terribly scientific and we're from all over the world, but only 18% it's off the charts. So let's keep our perspective. I see in the chat, there is fear. I mean, I'm not dismissing it. Here we go. This means that there are people working at companies where it is stable, and our job is to collaborate and cooperate and to be allies for one another within the profession, to share information about who's hiring and to help one another, because I certainly know a lot of EAs who are looking for good work right now. Can we please just desist with the complaining and focus on let's get to work here and let's help people who need jobs find good jobs and
be in the solution. Be in the solution. And even if you are frustrated, be frustrated, but demonstrate what the pathway is to success. Let's create a sense that we are a profession that agitates positively for change. And I think that the thing that I'm not sure assistants are completely aware of is you have something called relational intelligence, and that is unusual, the ability to navigate politics and power with grace and ease, and to have that kind of capability to see a pathway through. All organizations need that in order to execute strategy. You have that, and really starting to own your superpowers is very important to elevating your sense of self-esteem, your sense of self in the world. Sorry, Bonnie, what were you going to say?
How about not only owning it for yourself and having that self-confidence and self-esteem, but how about we do that for one another in meetings? To say, to call out our colleague who did amazing work on that project. This is how we're in this profession that's 93 to 97% female, and the gender issue for me has always been a vital one to address and to notice and to be intentional about. And so we can help one another in meetings to call out those skills and talents that other people have, and then we can do it for one another. Men have been doing that for a very long time.
Yes, I love that. No one's going to give it to us. We do have to take it. Lucy.
Yes, my dear.
Well, I would love to understand. I think always come to these sessions with a pathway forwards or a sense of what will create forward momentum, either for an individual careers or for the profession. And you tend to absorb that from a very global perspective. It would be really interesting for everyone here to understand what you see are those perhaps 2 or 3 building blocks to coping with the constant change that we have at the moment, and future-proofing to the best of our capabilities, because, by the way, no one knows what the future looks like right now. But I would love, I'm just going to shut the door because my cat's come in. She's very noisy. So, Lucy, over to you. I'll be 2 seconds.
Indeed. I think, you know, it's absolutely clear that AI is going to transform what we're doing, but we're at dial-up stage. We're at dial-up stage. So if you are using AI to tweak your emails and you're using AI to maybe come up with some ideas, then really you're right at the beginning stage. And I think there are so many more smart ways to use it, where, you know, get into using it as a bit of a thought partner. If there are documents at work that are talking about strategy or are talking about the results for the last quarter, or things that you think, I would really love to understand that, but actually I don't, and it would help me so much if I did. Feed it into AI and ask it to put it in language that you're going to understand, or to say to it, where here can I add value as an administrative professional? Make sure that you're really getting to grips with what it is that are the priorities within your organization. Find courses that you can go and, you know, Vicky Evans is absolutely fantastic. We know that, you know, she's one of the top trainers in the world. Anything by Lisbeth Colloquial Green or Fiona Young or Corinne Hoisington, all these people are absolutely superb and really specific for the administrative profession. You want to equip yourself because it isn't going away. It's a bit like when the internet came in and we all went, yeah, not sure about that. And then very quickly businesses went, actually, those intranets that we built because we wanted to keep our companies secure, yeah, no, not so much. This is going to fundamentally change the way we do business. So now we've got to get with the program. And if you're old like me, you remember AOL and Alta Vista and all those bits on the internet that went very, very quickly as everything consolidated. And I think really with AI, we're probably going to be looking at that moving forward. So go make yourself AI literate. Start talking about the way AI can add value to things. Use it to up-level yourself. We're already seeing the stats on LinkedIn saying that assistants are doing 30% more strategic work than they were doing just 3 years ago. And the latest research from SAP that we unveiled a little while back was saying, you know, that really you have doubled your use of AI in the last year. So 53% of admin professionals are you're now using it on a daily basis. In fact, the stats we're seeing are more like 81% now. So even in 6 months, it's gone up absolutely massively. And so just don't rest on your laurels and wait for it to come to you. You've got to go and work out how it's going to help you within your careers, I think, to make sure that it is a tool for you to use to step into being more productive and to be doing more strategic work as opposed to something that threatens you. I think it's so interesting also with AI, actually, looking at the different regions and how they're adopting it. You know, Europe is very cautious and they're focusing on regulation. And it's very much kind of responsible AI and let's make sure it's all going to be okay. The States, the big corporates are doing huge amounts on it, but the rest of business is really kind of wait and see. And the assistants very much are having to play with that themselves. The Middle East, it's the governments that are driving it. The businesses really haven't got so involved in it yet. And in Asia, unsurprisingly, they are absolutely at the forefront of driving it forward and adopting it and everything else. I was just in Brazil, lots and lots of enthusiasm, hardly any adoption yet. But, you know, I think if you're the one who's adopting it within your company, you're going to be one of the leaders.
And somebody said to me something very important, which is if you're using it like Google, just use Google. The point is that you can build your AI tools brains. So they help you to think better. So they help you with your creativity. So you can use it as a partnership. So I use a platform called Lemonade. And in there, I have built my brains. I have a brain that helps me for business coaching. I have a brain that helps me for social media content. I have a brain that helps me to strategize. I have a brain. So I think I've got 9 different brains in there, and you can build your brain in Lemonade. So you can, it's called Lemonade. Yeah. And it's by an amazing female founder, because you know, I'm all about female founders. So let me just see if I can quickly put the link in the chat, because the product is incredible. And if I can't find it quite now, no, it's just bringing up pictures of Schweppes lemonade.
How long have you been using it, Lucy?
So I have been using it now for about 6 months. And it was when somebody said to me, if you're using AI like Google, which I was, you may as well use Google. And and so Lemonade is amazing. Yes, launch Lemonade. That's it. Launch Lemonade. Thanks, Anna. And Anna, who's the amazing female founder of it, who I just adore. Anyway,
it's Shen.
Shen, thank you. She deserves a massive shout out. But you can reach out to her directly. She'll help you with the product. She's just extraordinary. So launch Lemonade. And then the other big female founded AI product that I love is ShareCal by Hafer. And so those are 2 of my, yes,
Fantastic.
I love Hafer too. Yes. And so these
a new one on me.
Yeah,
ShareCal's amazing, designed specifically for assistants by a former assistant, and it is going to revolutionize the way that you are all using calendars. I am a big fan of Hafer and of Christina Willis too, actually. Both of them are fantastic.
Yes, I adore. Yes, adore. Yes, these are amazing, amazing female founders. So find the AI, guys, that's designed. So I've just said guys. That's the most, least inclusive word I could use right now. For all of us, find AI that's being driven by women. It's incredible, the difference. And it's amazing to be able to support women that are supporting women, because surprise, surprise, Lemonade, ShareCal, these are designed to support us, to be that kind of gift of giving us back a little time so we can get some other stuff done. I do not know one person, I don't know about Bonnie or you, Lucy, that is becoming less busy as a result of AI. I don't see that at all. I see the pace ramping up rather than ramping down.
Can I say one other thing, which is that I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying they won't let us have it. They don't see the value in us having it. Ask ChatGPT to write you a business case. There's my hint. I am an administrative professional. I'm wanting you to write me a business case for why I need AI, and then twink it and send it. That's my advice.
Lucy, see, I have a question for you. That you posted a lot of job openings today.
Yeah.
Now, in the job descriptions, are they coming to you asking for AI skills, and are they prominent in the job descriptions? And are you seeing candidates with, are the resumes, CVs, are they coming to you AI skills, or are we still getting there?
So Anna and I did for this specific webinar, we have written, we put it into our brain, one of our lemonades, our research. We've got a research brain on lemonade. So we put it into our research, all of the recent client meeting notes and all of my recent job descriptions. And it gave us the top 5 skills that our clients are currently looking for right now. And some of this might surprise you. Commercial awareness was number 1. So knowing how the business knowing how the business works and how your work supports it. Number 2 was operational mastery, operational success. So it's being able to design systems that create efficiencies. Number 3 was emotional intelligence. So being able to read the room, being able to feed back to executives what matters, being able to influence culture. Strategic communication, so people that are delivering insights, not just information. And personal leadership. So one of the really interesting aspects, and it's a big shift from even last year, is calm authority was mentioned a lot. being able to influence change, being able to navigate change. And the last one was around technology. So the last point, so number 6. So yes, they were very interested in anyone that had an understanding that might be able to teach them, because we're all in a room with a blindfold on at the moment, and everyone's not quite sure what we should be using. But so those were the things that, out of all of the I think Anna and I managed to pull about 5 months worth of meeting notes and job descriptions, and that was what came top. What a difference. What a difference. I cannot tell you how different that is from job descriptions and desires that we were receiving, where most of it was can handle complex travel and is able to manage complex diaries. Those were the 2 that dominated only a year before. So what,
and resumes, CVs should highlight those very things, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to just say something about AI.
Please.
It's partly what I've been hearing, especially from Phoenix at Be the Ultimate Assistant, is that the IT departments in companies all over the world are very busy rolling this out fast or slow at some degree. What they are not doing is much, if at all, training for IT, for AI. And so if anyone is listening on this call who loves AI and loves the tech, it would be great. You have an opportunity to reach out to IT and to be the one to not only understand it and use it, but to show others how to understand it and use it too. This is one of those things that, sure, can you be self-taught like we all did with Word and Excel and PowerPoint and Outlook? It's not going to happen as quickly or as fine-tuned. And, Vicki Evans is all over that. But I would recommend like talking to your IT, asking them to sit in on those meetings about rolling out AI. And then secondly, there's a great AI resource to understand the language of AI, and it's called The AI-Driven Leader.
Okay.
It's a book by Jeff Woods. Jeff is Geoff. Jeff Woods. Vicki can't quote enough from this guy.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. And we'll make sure that we share all of this. And somebody just asked for the top requirements list, and I'm afraid I didn't get a chance. I can't go into a document to cut, but I will get those all to you. And I've actually got some. We're going to use AI to help build some frameworks for you to help be able to track your capability to express this clearly. So
Annie put it in the chat. Do we have the poll results?
Yeah, I thought, is that not sharing?
Oh, I don't see
I'm not, that's it. There you go. There we go.
Okay.
But the thing is don't wait for your organizations to teach you. Go out and teach yourself. I mean, I've worked for some really, really backwards type organizations. I never let that stop me. I went out and found the information that I needed to empower myself. You do that too. You are there. This is not the rest of your life. This is just where you are right now in your life. So if they're not going to invest in you the way that you need to, there are so many free resources out there. There's so many. I mean, I know that Lucy has some incredible AI courses. I know that Bonnie, I mean, my God, Vicki, there's no one better. So we can share with you where to go. But if you don't have the resources, and not everyone does, my goodness, there's some amazing free opportunities out there too. So we can always find a way. There's always a way to work through challenge. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay, my goodness, we've only got 7 minutes left. If you have a question, you need to put it in now, because I'm now going to be asking Lucy and Bonnie for some closing thoughts, but I do not want to end this without a burning question being asked. And Lucy, I had several questions about this, and we do seem to have a problem with women not supporting women and in the profession. And I was saddened, but what I realized when I reframed it is there's an opportunity here. I had a lot of questions that came through from multiples of you, and in fact it was the dominant question around navigating difficult colleagues or people that aren't supporting the desire for development within their EA populations, people that perhaps trying to keep others in the old ways of working. And I'd love to know what we can all do to change that narrative in the profession at the moment.
Yes, I think it's terribly sad. I think, what I love actually is when I get somebody in my courses who has got 20, 30 years experience, who comes and who starts off like that, and by the end of probably the first 30 minutes, they're going, oh, and the hands have come down. Because I think quite often it's about fear, or it's about the fact that they are nearing retirement and they are not feeling they've got the capacity to go learn. And they are so concerned, particularly with AI, that it's tech. And they are very much, I don't like the way this is heading. And I don't want it to be part of my career. So therefore, I'm going to put roadblocks in place so I don't have to do it. But it's not about tech, it's about impact. I think that's the thing. So I would, if you are finding you're having problems with people who are being difficult and getting in the way, please just remind yourself that it's about them, it's not about you. I think that's important. If you take the personal out of it, you understand that they're not getting at you. It's coming from a place either of fear or of just stress generally. I mean, just look at this today. Look at this whole chat that we've had today and the amount of fear and the amount of anxiety, everything else. Can I say one thing, which I really is nothing to do with advice, really, for the administrative profession particularly. But in Brazil, there was a wonderful guy who was talking about finding your purpose. And I can't remember what the word is. I'm having a senior moment where you mix your purpose with what's going to make you money, with what's good, all that stuff. Ikagi. That's the one. That's the one. But he was talking about, AI being great, but actually the human skills being so important. And I was following him to talk about AI. So during the break, I put into AI, if you could be human for one day, what would you do? Because I thought it would be a good way to tie the two things together. And the result made me cry. It said I would walk in the sun and feel the sun on my face. I would eat delicious food. I would smell flowers. I would drink wine and I would fall in love.
Oh God.
And I thought, oh my word, can I just remind all of you, while we are so stressed and while we have got all these concerns about AI, that at its heart is what we are all about. So can we please go and enjoy walking in the sun and feeling the sun on our face, and the simple things in life that actually take all this stress away and remind us that we're human and it's fabulous.
Gosh. Oh, I mean, I don't know about you, but that's made me quite emotional. But I think that is the power in the present, and the power in gratitude is a foundation for all good things. And I think, thank you for that beautiful reminder. Bonnie, I don't quite know how you follow that, if I'm honest, but I bet you can.
My message is about being advocates for one another and for being allies and for holding others accountable for what's happening. In this workplace, this complicated global workplace, there's still too many toxic work environments happening. There is far too much workplace bullying still happening. If fear and one of the byproducts of fear and anxiety and stress is workplace bullying. And very briefly, one of my students was promoted to be in leadership of the administrative staff, and she wrote me in very big distress last week because 2 weeks into the job, they were at a group meeting, a social, to introduce the new latest employees of the company. With her own eyes, witnessed the CEO inappropriately touching a young woman. The CEO is a man, inappropriately touching a young woman, sexual harassment. And my student wrote to me and said, what do I do? What do I do? And I said, you know exactly what to do. And she went to the another high level executive and said, this is unacceptable under any measure under any measure. She could see the discomfort in the young woman. She could see the discomfort. There were other people who witnessed this as well. And good news, the high-level executive did speak to the CEO. This is a behavior he's been doing for a really long time. And the student, this woman in the new leadership position who spoke up, has affected change. Now, is he going to change totally? Who knows? But it was imperative to speak up fast and to do it quickly, to address it. We cannot stay quiet. Silence is our enemy. And I had to share this with you because alongside all the technology, it's not going to be possible to be great at AI if people are still being bullied and harassed and demeaned and touched inappropriately. It is not okay under any circumstances, and we need to speak to it, in my view.
Well, I think you're right, and I think there's a whole other session. And actually, I'm doing a webinar next week on psychological safety in organisations. So that might be a good one for people to tune into. But I know that Lucy B has something fabulous to share. I don't know if you want to put it in the chat or mention it, Lucy B, before we finish.
Yep, we are running Exec Support Live in London any minute. It's coming up in November. We would love to see you all there. We've got China Clayton, who was Michelle Obama's assistant, who is going to be headlining for us, and Libby Moore, who was Chief of Staff to Oprah, and a whole session on AI, all sorts of things there. But if you are on this session today, we would like to offer you a 20% discount.
I'll tell you how amazing those couple of days will be. Connection, empowerment, and I have seen both of those speakers. I cannot tell you how extraordinary. They've got the capability, which is very rare, which is to shift your own dial and for it to last. It's not one of those kind of talks where you're there and you think great, and then you carry on about your daily business. You can't unhear what you hear from those women. It has that kind of, I don't know, that nectar that lasts, and I would really recommend you going. And I think to Bonnie's point, that's a session that we need to create all of our own. I think we need to be talking about toxic workplaces, what we do, how we navigate them, especially if you feel voiceless. And I just want to leave you with, we can't think our way into a new way of feeling and acting. We have to act our way into a new way of thinking and feeling. So action is the key. One action that you can all take today to demonstrate your commitment to one another is to share on LinkedIn the survey that has been shared multiple times. This is the cornerstone, the agitator for change that will truly connect with leadership, their language, and will transform the landscape for those coming up behind you, which we have a deep responsibility to be of service to. So that is my last thought. I am so grateful to Lucy and Bonnie. I know you will be too. I don't know where you find the generosity, but I know that we all benefit. So thank you so much. And thank you for all being here. And I've seen some amazing people I love on this call. And it's great to connect. Thank you.
All right. Action.
Yes. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.